Hello.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Acoustic Paradiso. I'm Ben.
And I'm Lee.
And today we are looking at what a difference of approximately 11,000 something pounds does between a guitar like this, which is £79,
£79.
and a guitar like this, which is nearly £12,000.
That's right. I could have 150 of these for every one of those. But I think it's a fun video, right?
Yeah.
You've probably seen the slightly clickbaity title and thought, I'll just watch that, but let's try and make it useful somehow. So this is an Eastcoast G1. Eastcoast is a brand that Andertons sells to sort of, for all sorts of beginners. It's a highly affordable range of guitars, electric guitars, acoustic guitars, bass guitars. This is the G1, it's the best-selling Eastcoast guitar there is, and it's £79.
And it sounds pretty good. I mean, if you've watched the channel, you'd have seen me and everyone play lots of these East Coast guitars. And I'm always impressed by the fact that they're so playable and they sound so good for such a small amount of money. Really.
Yeah, the spec is, it's a grand auditorium shape, which is that sort of bit smaller than a dreadnought, bit bigger than a parlor, so sits somewhere in the middle, full size, scale length. It's all laminate woods, so the woods are those sort of compressed laminates of wood, and then they'll have a veneer on the top to make it look like a solid piece of wood. Action is actually pretty good out the box, It's not electric or anything like that. It's just a plain old acoustic. Got strap buttons on so you can wear it with a strap. Regular tuners. Just simple, plain as can be.
Yeah.
£79.
It's certainly it knocks the spots off my first couple of acoustic guitars I owned, which were complete dogs.
We will talk a little bit about expectations around how something like this will age versus something like this.
Yeah.
But
let's look at this.
If I did decide I had 150 times as much budget as this one, why might I elect to look at a guitar like that, or a guitar by any other brand at that kind of price? What do you really get at that crazy price tag?
Well, when you're getting into that kind of spending, you're looking at all of the details. So this particular model, this is part of the Lowden F-50 series, which is basically, it's like their custom shop. So this is the F-50 ME. F is the body shape, so it's the medium-sized body shape, kind of similar to the Auditorium. The ME, it's got a Macassar ebony back and sides, which is just beautiful.
And these all are now hand-selected, solid pieces of timber. They're not. There's no veneers or anything going on here.
Oh god, when you get to the custom shop, this kind of 50 series level, the wood goes through, I think, 3 different selection processes before it qualifies on a kind of aesthetic level, but also on a sonic level that it's going to be good. So that's where your money's going.
I'm guessing it's those kind of, where you see people going,
yeah,
and you sort of think, is that all just? But it probably isn't. At this level, you've very much got people going
with the little. They get the little hammers out.
That's
and
the one. That's the wood.
And it's totally there because it's got this Macassar ebony back and sides, which is just unbelievable. Actually,
book matched as well by the looks of things. That back, isn't it?
Yeah,
so split down the middle and sort of folded out.
And it's got the binding down the middle here. This really kind of the very fine binding all around the edge. If you turn it around to the front, it's got a sinker redwood top, which again, the grain on here is fantastic. The inlay, again, all around the edge. So all of this stuff is obviously adding to the price, but it's just the attention to detail on it is fantastic. Yeah. This has got the 5-piece neck for kind of extra stability, which is a real Lowden thing. It's got the extra special inlays, the leaf inlays, and it's got the body bevel. That's another optional extra. So these things are all kind of optional extras that you can get when you're working at kind of custom shop level instruments. And it does sound and play just amazing.
I mean, not only have you got, probably 100 times the material cost of making that guitar versus something
at least.
You also accept that guitars like these are coming out of Far Eastern production lines with, workers that have probably been trained how to do their little piece of the build to a acceptable sort of standard, but there isn't really any sense that there's like one person building a guitar, and these will come off of a production line, hundreds at a time.
Yeah.
That will be a labour of love for one person to oversee, or at least a team of people, but with one person overseeing it.
Yeah.
Made in Ireland, Northern Ireland. out of the Lowden factory. George Lowden, very famous, experienced luthier. You play a couple of styles on that, and then I'll hand you this to play so people
Sure.
I half suspect in a little, strummy jam like that with two of us playing, it's probably not hugely obvious.
No.
That there's the price difference, but I think once you hear Ben in isolation playing different styles, and I'm sure you'll hear a fairly considerable difference.
Right, so I try a couple of different things. Something finger picking in standard, because that's a standard thing to do, isn't it? So. I mean, it just sings. I mean,
play a bit further up the neck as well, because I think again that's where you'll start to see, tangible differences.
Yeah, I'm going to drop it to drop D as well, because the way that these kind of solid wood guitars handle that low frequency energy is quite good. So if I'm just in drop D here, so with a nice big D chord. So you get, there's a huge tonal variety available from it, and it's...
The one thing we always see again with expensive instruments versus more affordable instruments is this sense of the range of dynamic that it will have. So look, have a little strummaroo on that.
Swap here.
Does feel nice, this, doesn't it?
This goes, it's quite something.
It's not a bad sounding guitar at all.
It's not. It doesn't. I mean, I would say it probably doesn't sound as nice as that one.
No, obviously you would hope not. But can we do the drop D test and that sort of dynamic?
Absolutely, yeah, sure.
Of it.
So here we go. It's not bad.
No.
It's not bad at all. It's really quite good. It's just, I think, being it between the two is really interesting, because the dynamic range and the kind of tonal variation you can get just by really subtle movements of your right hand on there are very obvious. Whereas on here, I guess because the construction is that kind of laminate, you need to put a bit more effort in. But,
so I'm going to give you this one back.
All right.
I think it's fair to say there will be a few things that will happen to any kind of really affordable guitar over time. There's a reason that brands like Lowden would design the necks in a certain way. They'll be the way they're joined to the body, the way they're constructed. That guitar, and you don't have to be at £11,000 in fairness. Any really well-made acoustic guitar. So I'm talking about probably £2,000-3,000 upwards, once you're into that fairly sort of top end kind of stuff, will be made to last forever.
Yeah.
It may need servicing from time to time, but there'll be literally nothing that can't be done to make this guitar amazing again. And any solid wood guitar, as the wood ages and seasons, typically becomes more resonant as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Something like this, I would expect you know, I mean, I would definitely expect if I was, you know, if I wanted to tour with this and was regularly putting it, you know, in cold vans overnight or aircraft or whatever like that, I would not expect the neck to stay in a playable condition. And 100%, and anyone that's had an affordable acoustic guitar will have seen this, over time, typically what happens around about here on the neck is it develops a little hump that's next to impossible to really repair, and the only way the guitar remains playable after that is to just accept that you have to have the action a little bit higher.
And that's it.
And it's just like, that's just what you have to accept, you know, once you've had a guitar like this for maybe 5 years or something. But really, again, it's like going, I mean, if you just have to have reasonable expectations, you know, of buying a really affordable instrument.
Also, if you're playing guitar after 5 years of playing one of those, I think it's time you treated yourself to a slightly nicer guitar.
Yeah.
Not that that's bad, but you know what I mean.
I kind of also think as well, and we talk about this with electric guitars, there's almost nothing else in life where you would expect the price differential to equal the performance differential.
That's right.
You know, if you spent £10,000 on a car versus £1 million on a car, you would not expect the £1 million car to go 100 times faster. I mean, that would be some car, wouldn't it? Like
really
that,
would.
you know. So
it's probably possible with my car.
Yeah. You know, yes, you expect everything to be substantially more luxurious, but at some point you just accept that it's the kudos of owning it. It's just because you can, that's half the reason why people buy these things. And I think at, you know, £10,000, whether it's, you know, Martin D45 or this Lowden or any number of the small little builders that might build guitars at that price, a big part of why you buy it is it's a big present to yourself, isn't it? It's just saying because you can.
And because it's going to be something at that kind of price where you're able to go so far into the specifics of what you want, like down to such detail, and go, well, actually, I would like a body bevel, and I would like these inlays rather than the other inlays, and all that stuff. If you know,
I know
nice.
John Mayer said about a lot of his stuff, and I'm trying to remember now the name of. There's a fairly well-known acoustic guitar player that plays crazy expensive acoustic guitars that I've read, and it's only when you get to that level of ability do you even appreciate some of the reasons why these guitars are better than these guitars. So it's all you know, horses for courses, isn't it? Look, I think the big winner in shootouts like this is always what's amazing at this end rather than what's amazing at that end, because let's be honest with you, like you said, I started on a Aria acoustic guitar that was 40 quid, you know, 30 something, more than that, you know, nearly 40 years ago. That's depressing, isn't it? Like that. So I don't know with inflation what that would be now, you know. I mean, that's probably 300 or 400 quid now with inflation.
Yeah.
And this is better than
God. I think I spent £130 on my first steel string, and it was a Palmer.
Right. I remember them.
Do you? Yeah, like fiberglass body with a pointy headstock. You couldn't play it. There's just like 2-inch action. It was awful. But those are great.
Check out Eastcoast is one of these brands that you probably won't find outside of Andertons and one or two other places. But go and look at some of the reviews on our website on these. There's hundreds of FIFO reviews on the Eastcoast stuff, and they're all amazing feedback on these.
I've got a couple of my students I've sent to Eastcoast guitars, and they've been super happy with them. And they're great starter guitars because they are actually playable and not expensive.
Right. Well, look. Good to see you again, Ben.
And
should we have some sort of turgid blues jam?
I think we should.
I think we should, shouldn't we?
Absolutely.
Just to show, yet again, a massive sigh from the camera team here.
In E, presumably, is there?